It's the Rover, Dave Taylor, on another adventure, and this time the adventure continues at Belle Isle. No, I'm not in Michigan. No, this is Belle Isle Park in Richmond. It's on the James River. Why is this park important? Well, let's go find out. I'm on the pedestrian walkway to get to Belle Isle, and behind me here is the James River. Pretty calm on this side. Now, when you get to the other side, you got more of the rapids and stuff. Now, when John Smith and the explorers came from Jamestown in the 1600s, you know, they thought everything was cool, and then they got to this part, they realized ships couldn't pass, but it became an important passageway for trade for many years. There's shells of many former buildings and factories here on the island. This one constructed by Old Dominion Iron and Steel Company in the early 1900s, and it became known as the Chrysler Building because during World War I, they made tank hatches for Chrysler, and this became known as the Chrysler Building. You can also bike at Belle Isle. Bring any kind of bike here, it's going to work out, but if you really want to challenge yourself and you got a good like dirt bike or something, check out the skills area here at Belle Isle. So while this park is located in downtown Richmond, you wouldn't know it when you hit the trails here. On one side of the park, there's a dam that kind of splits up the water. So the southern part of Belle Isle, when the water's low, is pretty dry. You can walk on the rocks here. Now the other side, well, we're going to go to that in just a moment, gets a little choppy. Believe it or not, in the 1860s, this island had churches on it, even schools on it. And then in the early 1900s, that building was built right there. That's the hydroelectric plant that was used to power these streetcars here in Richmond. It closed in the 1960s, and the remains of it still standing today. So one of the problems that the hydroelectric plant ran into was all the water coming in was the debris. That's why the dam was there, to just have the water coming in. But with floods, you get all sorts of branches and everything else. So at the head gate, they had a cleaner. And this cleaner was something that was done to keep the branches out and everything else so the water would get to the plant. And that was one of the reasons why the plant closed down in the 1960s, because the cost of keeping it up and keeping everything running, well, it was just easier to do it with fossil fuels. This is the view when you get to the western part of the park. And what you see behind me here is some cliffs, and they do some cliff climbing in some parts here in the park. So on the northern side of Belle Isle, and in this part of the island here, of course, we got the James River running through, where all the rocks are, making it really tough. So you got the rapids here, and it's popular for whitewater rafting in this one part. But this is where, they got to many years ago, and they said, well, we can't really go any farther in the ship. And trade was set up here in Richmond, and a lot of history throughout the last 400 plus years of this part of Richmond. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, make sure you do all those cool things. I'm the Rover, Dave Taylor. Thanks for joining me on this adventure at Belle Isle.